Hey, vinyl community. I am here once again with my three best friends in the vinyl community. We have Josh from JC Vinyl, Flipside Vinyl. We've got Chris Prophy from Chris Prophy Musically Obsessed. And we've got Aaron Mutha Alamer, the VC ambassador. We are here to talk this week about our 10 favorite cover songs of all time. We've each got 10. And then also we've got our 5 honorable mentions. In some cases, our 40 honorable mentions, but you know, how is that different from any other week, really? Let's start by going around and sharing our 5 honorable mentions. Aaron, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start this time. So first up, I've got this stack of records that I didn't quite make it, and they're all great, but I won't show those. My number 15, though, is from this. And this is a very rare record. It's actually The Pigeons of Ship Metal is the name of it. It's the Eagles of Death Metal, but it's only him, Jesse Hughes. And it's a solo project. And this is different. I have another record that is similar to this that has this picture in it, but they have different tracks. But the one off this is a song called Gouge Away. And it's a Pixies song. And it's really killer on this. It's just amazing. He just makes it his own. And that's a really cool song to begin with. If anyone knows the Pixies, they're kind of like early grunge, really great stuff. And Gouge Away is such an amazing song. And he just has his own style he puts on it. And it's just amazing. And it's a very Nirvana-esque, only this is like slowed down a little. It's just really killer how he does it.
Who did the art?
Gouge Away.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the Pixies were a huge influence on Nirvana.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And number 14 from this album, Piece of My Heart, the Janis Joplin song. This is my favorite version of that song. I love it. It's Paul Shortino's vocals on it are amazing. They do some killer guitar riffs, guitar solos, and it's a very emotional song, really killer. I love it. And this is my favorite version of the song, and it's my least favorite song on this record. That's how much I love this record. So it's one of my favorite metal records of the mid 80s.
Tipsy Tuesday classic.
Yeah, I'd play it on there if I could. And at number 13 from this record is a Dee Snider and his version of Head Like a Hole, the 9 Inch Nails song. Oh, and it's just amazing. It's just so interesting hearing him sing 9 Inch Nails. And it still sounds kind of electronic, but it's a little heavier and his vocals are so good on it. And I just love the version.
What year was that album, Aaron?
This one is, God, I can't even tell.
Oh.
It was like the mid 20-teens somewhere, like 2014, 15 maybe.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've never listened to
and
that.
This has the version of We're Not Gonna Take It acoustic, but Head Like a Hole is really good on here. And at number 12, and I saw Jeff flipping through the vinyl at that store, and he passed over this record from this Eagles of Death Metal again. They just do so many great cover songs. It's Save a Prayer from Duran Duran.
Oh wow!
And yeah, they do it so killer. It's a little heavier, but not too heavy. It still sounds like it. And then there's that part in the song where it's that not a whistling, but a weird synthesized sound. They do that vocally on here, and it's really cool. Wow. It's just really killer. And this is Jesse Hughes and Josh Homme, their band. And Josh Homme plays the drums instead of the guitar in this band. And they both sing, but it's an amazing record, and that's a really killer version.
Very cool. And
the number 11, one of my favorite cover songs ever. When I first did this list, I thought this would be top 5, but there's so many. But it's from this, Gonna Get Close to You. Love Gonna Get Close to You from Queensryche. The original by Del Bello. That's a very good song that she does as well. It's very ahead of its time. But this version with Jeff Tate singing, it just blows me away. It's the album and the song that really got me into Queensryche. I got this tape from Columbia House when it was the monthly thing. I was there for 2 months before they shut me down, but this is one they automatically sent me.
They shut you down.
Yeah.
They
I was
took your membership card and ripped it up.
Yep. But this is one of the cassettes I got, and Gonna Get Close to You just made an instant impression on me, and I love that song. So there's my 5. I've got another 20, but that's it. I'll just do those.
Okay.
If anyone shows the other ones, I'll hold the record up to show that that was one of them.
Okay, sure.
So there we go. That's my honorable mentions.
Yeah, well, your honorable mentions never disappoint. So all very cool stuff. Some of them I've seen, you know, Aaron's got his Tipsy Tuesday, which airs every Tuesday night. And some of those records I know you just showed on last Tuesday's video. So that's why they're a little familiar to me. Josh, what's your honorable mentions?
Okay, I didn't pull the records, but I'll give you the list. So my number 15 is The Real Me by Wasp. And I just remember like listening to that album and my father hearing it in the background being like, that's the Who. And he like came up to my room with a big stack of Who records. Like, you need to listen to the original. But yeah, I always love that version. The next one is Vida Sane, the Cheap Trick song, but it's by Anthrax. It's a B-side to, I believe, Black Lodge. When Sound of White Noise came out, they did a cover of that Cheap Trick song. And I love the Cheap Trick song, but the Anthrax song is just a little bit heavier. And it's probably the most upbeat song about suicide of all time. I just absolutely love it. The next one is Oh Lonesome Me by Neil Young. This was on his album After the Gold Rush. It was an original Don Gibson song. So it's like a real, almost like Hank Williams Sr., just like an old country song. But he does such a heartbreaking version of it. It's one of my favorites. Then number 12 would be Last Caress by Metallica, the Misfits song.
Nice.
I just think they do a killer version of that. They really speed it up. And then they do Green Hell, which is already a fast song by the Misfits, and they crank that up. It's just amazing, full frontal assault. And then my number 11 is Twist and Shout by the Beatles, which I think is just a fantastic cover. I mean, you can't, to me, that's one of those songs where if you said, name a song where you can't not dance to it, like Twist and Shout comes on, it just instantly fills me with such good feelings and good vibes. And those are my honorable mentions.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't realize that that's not a Beatles original song. I know there's, you know, especially some people from the younger generation actually think the Beatles wrote that song, which that's actually the Isley Brothers, but Beatles definitely made that their own. That's why it's so identified with the Beatles. But yeah.
And dude, I almost put Metallica on my list because you're right. Last Caress, Green Hell, their version is killer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you put The Real Me too. That was one of mine that didn't quite make it.
Oh, man, it's such a good one, right, Aaron? It's so
Frankie
good.
Banali. Yeah, Frankie Banali. The bass on that.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, don't
And the
worry,
Who
Aaron.
is
I'm
amazing.
sure a
I'm
lot
not
of
trying to
my,
take away from the Who.
I'm sure a lot of my honorable mentions will be from your list that you didn't get to show. All right, Chris.
All right, my number 15 is from the Dead Kennedys. They do a version of Take This Job and Shove It. It's just a great version. The original one was by David Allan Coe back in 1977. So yeah, I just have always loved their version of that song. This whole album is great, but Take This Job and Shove It, killer. This was a song I just added probably a couple hours ago, and it's Led Zeppelin's version of Traveling Riverside Blues by Robert Johnson. And I have it on this was the Zeppelin box set, and it's one of the bonus tracks on Coda. And I think, it was never released obviously on an album, so it must have just, I think this is a live version of it as well. But they just do a really, really good version of Traveling Riverside Blues. And again, you can't go wrong with Robert Johnson.
Yeah, they recorded that for the BBC.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think 69.
And I know people say Zeppelin ripped off a bunch of blues licks or whatever. And hey, you know, people also say that Kiss Alive is done in the studio. I don't really give a crap. They're still good songs, and it is what it is.
I agree.
So my number 13 is a song off of this album by Frank Sinatra. This is called A Man Alone, where he does all Rod McCune songs. The song Love's Been Good to Me is one of my favorite Frank Sinatra songs. And again, it's a cover of a Rod McCune song. So if anybody's into like later, sorry about the glare, later Sinatra. Check this album out, A Man Alone. Really, really good stuff. Next, my number 12 is Guns N' Roses' version of Knocking on Heaven's Door. And, I think I actually heard this version before I heard the original. And it's one of those songs that Guns N' Roses made their own. I mean, it sounds like they could have written it. It was a really good version of the song. And then my number 11, for you Kiss fans out there, going with New York Groove off of Ace's solo record. Now, I had to look this up. This is written by Russ Ballard, who also wrote God Gave Rock and Roll to You.
Yep.
And I guess this was covered, and I didn't know this stuff. I had to look this up. It was covered by a band called Hello in 1975. But obviously Ace's version made a bigger splash. But I had to make sure that this was a cover because I thought it was an Ace song. I really did for the longest time. But no, it's written by Russ Ballard, so that's why it's included in this list. But I mean, New York Groove is just an amazing, amazing song. So there you go.
And
Yeah.
Chris, Guns N' Roses, the first time I heard Knocking on Heaven's Door wasn't Bob Dylan either. But Guns N' Roses did a concert on MTV when Appetite for Destruction came out. It was live at the Ritz. And they did Knocking on Heaven's Door back then. They were doing that song since the formation of the band. And they really did make it their own.
And I like their version of Live and Let Die as well. But I think I like Knocking on Heaven's Door a little bit better.
It really came close to making my list. Plus, I was
Yeah.
going to do the Frank Sinatra song, It Was a Very Good Year, which is actually a cover. That almost made my list. So, yeah.
And I'm telling, again, I try to push albums, but again, if you like Frank Sinatra, you've got to listen to A Man Alone. I was just looking for a year. Oh, 1969. Really, really good stuff. So there you go.
All right. Very cool. Well, my number 15 is Guns N' Roses, Look at Your Game Girl, a cover of the Charles Manson.
I like that.
Look
Yeah.
at
Gotta
your
throw that in there.
game, girl.
Yeah, I'm sure that was one of the ones Aaron left on the floor. But my number 15 is where did I put it? I might not have put it.
Thompson Twins.
Yeah, Thompson Twins, Revolution. No, I left it over there. Anyway, it's Chicago. I'm a Man from the Chicago Transit Authority album. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Chicago Transit Authority album, but that is
Great album.
a great album. Terry Kath is really like a white Jimi Hendrix. I mean, he tears all over that album. The last track, Liberation, sounds like freeform jazz. It sounds like Ornette Coleman, and it's really incredible. It's such a hard album, and people don't really give it a chance because they were thinking, oh, Chicago, Peter Cetera, and all that soft rock crap from the late 70s and early 80s. But their first album is as hard and as heavy as anything that came out in 1969. That's my number 15. Not my number 14, I am going to go with AC/DC, Baby Please Don't Go, their cover of the I think Them with Van Morrison was the original that, unless maybe it goes farther back. I don't know, but the version I'm most familiar with was the Van Morrison Them version. But I think AC/DC does a great job on that. It's kind of a song that you don't really expect them to cover because it's more like an R&B track when Van Morrison does it, but I really like their version of that.
That whole album is underrated.
Yeah. Well, it's an EP, so most people kind of overlook it because it's like, oh, well,
yeah,
good can it be? But it's actually very good. My number 13 is Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower, which was another Bob Dylan song. But I mean, this is a song that Jimi Hendrix made his own. There's no other version that's been recorded since that compares to the Jimi Hendrix version. And most people don't try because they know, like, how are you going to make it any better than what Hendrix did with it? And then my number 12 is ELO, Roll Over Beethoven. They add a bit of Beethoven to what is really, it's kind of almost a prog rock extended jam on that track. It really bears little resemblance to the Chuck Berry original. Definitely give it the ELO, strings and kind of bombastic production on it, but I think it's very cool. I saw him perform this live, Jeff Lynne's ELO, 2 summers ago. It was very cool to see that live. My last one is I'm going to go with our hometown heroes, the White Stripes. They do a cover of a Burt Bacharach, Hal David song, I Just Don't Know What to Do With Myself, on this album, Elephant. And I think it's great. I love the White Stripes. I, don't usually get into bands this heavy, but I've always been a huge fan of the White Stripes. And they really take this track and give it the White Stripes treatment. And I think it turned out very well. So those are my honorable mentions.
Nice. I'm not a huge fan of the White Stripes, but I have a lot of respect for Jack White because anybody who's going to produce Loretta Lynn albums is like A-OK in my book. And that's what he did. He basically took Loretta Lynn and brought her back into the limelight again.
Yeah, sure.
And to have this young guy producing Loretta Lynn albums, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that just shows where his influences are. I mean, I think he's even got I think he moved to Nashville, he used to be originally from Detroit. Now, I think he spends half his time in Nashville and half his time over on this.
My brother's a huge White Stripe fan and a huge Guns N' Roses fan. And his dream, back when Axl was doing his Chinese Democracy and wasn't releasing it, his dream was to get Jack White in a room with Axl and be like, let me produce your album. And they knock it out in a week and it's rough and it's raw. And, that's the thing about Jack White is that like he finds the beauty in the imperfections, right? Where Axl Rose is searching for this perfection that can never be achieved. So yeah, I think, if Axl could ever let go and be like, here are the songs and let Jack White produce it, it would be amazing.
Yeah,
I will say this though, Aaron sent me the Raconteurs, and that album is killer. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny because I got this girl that I work with. She lives in Detroit, and a couple months ago, she saw Jack White riding a bicycle, just like down the street. So you never know. Like if you live down there, you never know when you're gonna. He's still, he's got Third Man Records downtown, which is, it's like 30 minutes from my house, and he very much is proud of, his Detroit heritage, and he still, sinks a lot of money into the city. He's still got a very, very much a presence in Detroit. So I love the fact that, I'm not a rap fan, so I could give a crap about Eminem, but, Jack White has always been kind of a musical hero of mine since I first discovered the White Stripes. So anyway, we're not here to talk about the White Stripes, but I just thought I would, allow myself a little bit of a digression. So now we're going to get into our top 10s, and we'll start with yours, Aaron.
All right. So this is the only thing I have this on. It was originally on a different record, but it's from Chris Cornell, and it's his version of Billie Jean.
Oh yeah,
nice.
And it's a very intimate, different sounding song because it's just him and an acoustic guitar with his amazing singing. And when you hear it, you don't even realize that it's really Billie Jean until it gets into the chorus, but he sings that so different too. It's almost like a totally different song. And it's just so personal and intimate and amazing vocals that made my top 10. So, and Nothing Compares to You, his version of that on here is very good as well. But Billie Jean is the one I picked.
Yeah, he would cover songs you would never think of Chris Cornell ever covering. Like he did What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. I know
Mhm.
Redemption Song, which was a Bob Marley. He covered that song before. I think he covered John Lennon Imagine. I mean, he really he loved so many different styles of music, and it didn't matter. It could be Michael Jackson, it could be Marley, it could be Prince, it could be, shoot,
Yep.
any band. But if it's a great song, it's a great song, and it lends itself to many covers and interpretations. All right, Josh.
All right, my number 10 was originally on the American Beauty soundtrack, but also a B-side on this album. And it's Because, the Beatles song
Yes.
by Elliott Smith. It's just him. He does everything on the song. All the harmonies are him that he recorded. He absolutely is one of the most beautiful voices of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And he's got great lyrics. The thing is that Because is a good place to start if you're not an Elliott Smith fan. Because it'll give you a sense of his music. He was heavily influenced by the Beatles, but he'd also have songs where he'd drop the F-bomb. He's got this beautiful voice, but there was darkness to him. He ended up killing himself. Some people think that he was murdered by his girlfriend because he stabbed himself multiple times. He was a huge heavy metal fan. He was a huge Beatle fan. When I actually saw him in concert, he had a metal shirt on. I think it was Wasp. I'm trying to remember who it was, but he just was someone that, I think that if he could have played metal music, he would have, but he knew that that wasn't the type of talent that he had, right? Like he just had this singer-songwriter acoustic type of music that's amazing. And it's so well done. And if you love the Beatles, go check it out. Because by Elliott Smith. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, and he recorded that album Figure Eight at Abbey Road Studios in London. And also he was in a band called Heat Miser, which was very like punk rock. It was a lot harder. I mean, it was aggressive, hard-edged punk rock. And then, when he became a singer-songwriter, he, kind of went in I don't want to say softer direction, but a more melodic, less aggressive direction, I guess you could say. His first couple solo albums, he performed every single instrument on those albums. It was like, McCartney's first album, McCartney, where, Paul McCartney recorded all the instruments. His first 2 or 3 albums, he did all the instruments on it, which just shows you how talented he was.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check him out. I've never really listened to him before.
Yeah, this is a great album. This is a good one to check out because it does have some very Beatle-esque rocking type songs. So
Nice. All right, well, my number 10 is off of this album by Yes. This is a compilation album called Yesterdays. They do a version of Simon and Garfunkel's America on here, which is killer. Originally, it appeared on the Simon and Garfunkel album Bookends. And I think what's really cool about this is in the beginning of the song, there's a bass lick where they actually play the melody to the song America from West Side Story as well. So they actually tie in 2 songs, the America from West Side Story plus Simon and Garfunkel's America. It's just a great rendition of this song, and they give it the Yes treatment. I don't think it actually ever appeared on a proper Yes album, but it again was on this compilation album that came out in 1974 called Yesterdays. This is what I went to the record store today to pick up because I had this on CD, but I wanted to get a vinyl version of it. So yeah, really good stuff. I love Yes.
Yeah, they do an interesting cover of the Beatles' Every Little Thing on their first album, which is it's like every little, like of all the songs they could have covered, that one, which is off Beatles for Sale. And I couldn't imagine a progressive rock band, no less, covering that track. But especially, like, who would ever thought Yes would cover Simon and Garfunkel, let alone America? But they take it their own, they interpret it in a way that was different than Simon and Garfunkel recorded it. And it's amazing.
And John Anderson can sing anything. I mean, that guy's got an amazing voice. So, yeah.
All right, Chris, you're number 9. I mean, you're number 10. I'm just kidding. I had to do it. I'm still reeling from last. Okay, number 10. I do not have this is the one I do not have a physical copy of. I intend to get it someday, but it's a band called Eels. And it's a track called Pretty Ballerina, which is a cover of the Left Bank song. Left Bank did Don't Walk Away, Renee, from the late 60s, but it's on a live album called Live at Town Hall. And it is a great track. I love Eels. It's actually one person. It's sort of like Nine Inch Nails is Trent Reznor. Eels is, and his name's escaping me right now. I can't think of it, but yeah, I love I didn't realize how much I love the Left Bank till I heard this track. Didn't realize it was a cover. And then I heard the Left Bank song and it's like, wow, they are one of those, 60s bands that I never got into, but now I need to go back and rediscover because apparently they were pretty awesome. So
Nice.
that's my number 10. All right. Was that one of yours, Aaron? I'm sorry.
No.
I feel like we should be doing a Wasp video. Like, there's been a lot of Wasp references tonight.
Yeah.
All right, number 9. You've seen this before, kind of. From this, the other album has different tracks, and it's a very odd song. It's "Family Affair," the Mary J. Blige song, and I'm not a hip hop guy at all, but this version of this song is it blows me away. And nobody but Jesse Hughes could do this song and make it sound good. And it's just amazing. It's better than the original. It blows me away every time I hear it. And it still has that hip hop kind of sound, but he mixes in the rock and his vocal, he just sings it perfectly. And when I saw this, that it was on here, I was like, oh, that's going to be the worst song. It ended up being maybe the best on here. It's just a totally amazing song. And any song from this I could have picked, really. It's just such a good record, good covers album. But that's the one I chose, just because it's so unique.
All right. Well, my number 9 is originally done by Albert King, the blues artist, and it's going to be The Hunter off Danzig 1. I think Danzig, I love Albert King, don't get me wrong, so all blues fans out there, don't kill me. But when Danzig sings, "When I get a hold of you, baby, I light you up like Christmas," I'm like, hell yeah. Man, you can tell that he is enjoying it. You can tell that Danzig obviously is a big fan of the blues. And he had so much fun with this song and I've seen Danzig so many times, he's never played this live. As a matter of fact, I can't remember Danzig ever doing one cover song live in all the times I've seen him, but it's killer. I feel like, Rick Rubin had him do a couple covers. He had him do Trouble by Elvis, which is a great one too. But to me, this is the definitive cover song by Glenn Danzig, by Albert
Agreed.
King originally.
Now they Led Zeppelin do a short little version of that in How Many More Times, don't they? Like sort of at the tail end of that before they kick back into the main riff. That was the first time I actually heard that song.
It's a killer track, man.
Yeah.
Some of these blues songs, people need to go back and discover them. They're just absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Very cool pick.
Yeah, that whole album is awesome, Josh. I love that whole Danzig album.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I don't have a physical copy of this, but it's Dwight Yoakam's version of Crazy Little Thing called.
Yes.
It is so good. And again, I love the Queen version, but Dwight Yoakam obviously he's a country artist, so he adds a honky tonk element to it. He's got a whole rockabilly style. I just love his vocals too. They just cut through the airwaves when you hear it. And I saw Dwight Yoakam live. He didn't sing that song, but he's just always been one of my favorite country artists, and I love his version of that. I also love his version of Suspicious Minds as well, but it didn't make my list. But Crazy Little Thing Called Love, you got to listen to it. I believe it's on a greatest hits of his that I don't have, but I will get eventually.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out on Spotify if it's on there, but cool.
I mean, Dwight Yoakam has one of those voices you either like or you don't like. It's a very nasal country voice, but I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
My number 9 is going to be by one of my favorite bands, REM, and I'm going to go with Superman, which is a song that was originally recorded by a 60s band called The Click. Nobody's ever heard of, but I always thought it was an REM original.
Me too.
Well, you know, I heard, oh, otherwise, that's actually a cover version. And actually, Mike Mills sings it, which is another thing I didn't realize. But he's actually, you know, one of the few vocals that Michael Stipe did not do. But it's a great way to close out the album. It's very high energy. It's catchy, and you know, another track where they made it their own. But great album, great cover version, and this is actually I've got this deluxe CD which has some demos and other stuff on it. But yeah.
Did that song appear on the album proper, or was it like was it a bonus track?
Nope, it was the last song on the album proper.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was actually a single. It was Fall on Me was the first single, and then Superman was the second single off that album.
You cannot go wrong with early REM. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. All right, Aaron.
Number 8 from
Yeah.
Tesla, Little Susie. So this was originally recorded as Little Susie's on the Up by a English new wave band called PhD, and it sounds nothing like. I mean, the lyrics are all the same. The chorus kind of sounds. It all sounds the same vocally, but it's very keyboard oriented. It doesn't start off with the guitar that they do in this, and they just totally transformed it into a hard rocking song. And I just love the song. I've always loved it. I think it was their second single maybe from this album. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it was
Modern
Modern Day
Day
Cowboy was
Susie.
the first one, wasn't it?
And then Little Susie, I think. But
Yeah.
it's just an amazing song, and it's always been one of my favorite covers. And I realized it was a cover right away, but I'd still never heard the original until recently. But it's just an amazing song.
I
Well, I
never
think it's
realized
interesting.
that was a cover. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting too, as we go through our list. If you did not, when you first heard this song, if you didn't know it was a cover, you know, how long was it before you realized it was actually a cover song? You know, with REM Superman, I think it was probably like 10 years before I realized they didn't write that song. That was actually a cover version.
Dude, I found out the other day when we were doing our REM video. I was like, that's not an original. I had no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, if you didn't know it was, like, when you're going through the rest of your list, if you didn't know it was a cover version when you first heard it, and maybe, you know, some amount of time passed before you found out it was a cover version, you know, let us know.
Yeah, most of the rock stuff in the 80s, I knew were covered because I always was into the liner notes, figuring all that out back when all this stuff was out. So I knew most of the ones that were back then. But
Okay.
I mellowed out on that in my old age.
Yeah.
Aaron, I was the same way, and I kept on being like, why do I always see Desmond Child's name on every song?
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, my next one was originally done by Fleetwood Mac back in the Peter Green days. And it's a song called Oh Well, which Tom Petty did a cover of. This song is fantastic. The song starts off with something where he's singing, I can't help the shape I'm in. I ain't pretty, I can't sing, and my legs are thin. But don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give you the answer that you want me to. And it's like such a killer song. It's a complete blues song. It's like something Led Zeppelin would do. It's got this killer blues riff. I mean, obviously that era of Fleetwood Mac was very blues oriented. Now the Fleetwood Mac version is good, but it's a kind of a little trippy, a little psychedelic, where this is just a straight up blues song. Tom Petty just went balls to the walls. And when I saw him live, he did this cover. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then he released this box set where he put that version on here, and it's fantastic. So, Oh Well, originally by Fleetwood Mac. I would like to say that I knew it was a Fleetwood Mac song right away, but I think when I saw him in concert, he said, I'm going to do a Fleetwood Mac song. So later on that night, I went home and I downloaded the original version. But yeah, so great song.
That's
I
a
think-
killer song.
Was it Foghat that made that track like kind of an FM radio staple? I think they might have done. I don't know if it was Foghat or somebody else did a cover of that version, but yeah, the Fleetwood Mac version, it starts out like Led Zeppelin, and then midway through, all of a sudden it becomes this Baroque acoustic. So you feel like you're in like 16th century England, and there's castles and
Yep.
knights and all that. It's like, where did this come from? Like, you know, you had such a good thing going. Why did you veer off into a totally different direction? In fact, there's like Oh Well Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is the heavy Led Zeppelin bluesy track, and then part two is where they take this left turn and go off into, you know, kind of like medieval flutes and, you know, acoustic stuff. It's like, wow, that's what I think you mean by trippy, is when it
Exactly.
goes off like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
totally
yeah.
takes you out of the hard rocking version. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
There's actually a
Mac,
version too.
yeah,
What's
Fleetwood
that?
Mac covered it without the part two on their live album from, I think it was,
With Lindsey Buckingham singing it. It was really cool.
yeah.
Oh, really? I'll go check it out.
Yeah, I've got that one. That's a good one.
I might have an early Fleetwood Mac cover coming up in my list too. So,
Nice.
I know what you mean. It almost made mine.
oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
All right, so hopefully my number 8. Hopefully I'm not gonna piss any Beatles fans off here, but I'm going with Helter Skelter, Motley Crue. All right, so here's my thing with this. I love the Beatles version of Helter Skelter. It could be like one of the earliest heavy metal songs. And I don't even know if Paul McCartney realized it, you know, but Motley Crue just totally takes it to the next level. They make it their own. It's a little bit more realized, I think, on this album, and it just fits in with the whole vibe of Motley Crue. And, you know, I made a little list on Spotify today, and I was listening to it, and the song is just still so good even today. So I just love their version of Helter Skelter.
Yeah,
It's
well,
actually
just,
so close to my list.
yeah. Well, just, you know, interesting you bring up Paul McCartney, Chris, because actually Paul McCartney wrote that track and intended it to be that heavy because he had read an interview somewhere where Pete Townsend was talking about how the Who had just recorded the raunchiest, grungiest, dirtiest, heaviest track ever. And I think the song they were talking about was I Can See for Miles, or something that you wouldn't associate with like a real heavy track. But Paul McCartney said, well, I'll go you one better. We're going to record the heaviest, dirtiest, raunchiest track ever. And that's what kind of gave birth to Helter Skelter. But, you know, if you believe Bono, this is an album, this is a song Charles Manson stole from the Beatles. We're stealing it back from the Rattle and Hum album.
It must have been
Poor
such
Bono impression. I can't do a
Yeah.
good Irish, but like, trust me if you've ever heard the intro to that. But yeah, no, I think Motley Crue's version blows away U2's version, and it's the definitive Helter Skelter cover. Absolutely.
It
Tell
just
me,
must
Lisa,
have been
the fingers thing though.
the what?
I have blisters on my fingers. Tell me
Yeah,
this.
right.
Yeah.
It just must have been such a shock for Beatles fans, though, because I don't think there's any other song that sounds like Helter Skelter in the Beatles catalog. And, you know, you're used to hearing, like, on that album, they have I Will on there. And, of course, you know, we're used to hearing Paul McCartney sing Yesterday. And then suddenly Helter Skelter comes out, and it's like, holy crap, like, that was a heavy freaking song.
Well,
And
as a
then I
Beatles
want
fan,
Road too. It's sort of like that. That
What'd you
heavy. I Want You from Abbey Road is really heavy.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, that's a heavy song, too.
yeah, as a Beatles fan growing up, you know, anytime if my friends would ever make fun of me because I used to, you know, listen to the Beatles, I'd play that track from them. I'd like listen to Helter Skelter, listen to Revolution, listen to I Want You, and then tell me the Beatles aren't heavy. You know,
Yeah.
obviously.
That's what
Everybody's-
Negative does, the Beatles melody. And they really turn the Beatles songs into heavy metal songs. If you ever get a chance, Google that. It's really good.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I'm going to grab a beer.
Okay.
Good idea. All right, so it's my turn. Number 7, I am going to go with The Clash. Don't Say I'm Not Punk. Bobby Fuller cover version on here. The Clash give it the punk treatment, and they do it so effectively. Just the kind of cheeky, snotty attitude that the Clash brought to the track, and yeah, it's always been one of my favorite. I knew it was a cover from the first time. I mean, who hasn't heard that song at one time or another? But the Clash elevated the song and kind of gave it a new, more rebellious kind of a interpretation. So
I love The Clash.
Is that your number 8 or 7?
that was number 8.
Okay,
So now we're on number 7.
all right.
Wasp.
Yeah. I thought you said 7 on that, so I was like, looking down there, trying to get my list straight. So, okay, number 7 is from this.
Am I
And
evil?
Am I Evil? But it's only on the version from the mid to late 80s. And that's how I first heard this album. My friend had it on cassette and we played it nonstop in the car driving around. And Am I Evil from Diamond Head, the Metallica song. And it's really just like a Metallica song. I think of it still as a Metallica song. When they play it live, it's just so killer. And it's just one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite records. Am I Evil?
And this is for anybody who's never listened to Diamond Head. When you listen to Diamond Head, you're going to hear how Metallica just totally took their style. Like all their riffs, even down to how James sings a lot of his vocal lines.
He made it a little tougher though sounding. Just had this.
Yeah, but I feel like Metallica really, like Diamond Head was a huge influence on them.
I totally agree. I also think I listened to Killing Joke the other day, that band, and I know Metallica covered their song The Weight, but they were also, you could tell, a huge influence on Metallica. So,
well, wasn't Lars was like always bringing those new wave of British heavy metal bands.
yeah.
He introduced, I think, James and all them to that.
Yeah.
So,
all right, mine has already been mentioned before, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I did not know it was a cover until the mid 90s, and that's I'm Back. Back in the New York groove. It's just a fantastic song. I mean, that song it's killer. There's nothing else I could say. It's amazing.
Awesome. All right. Well, it wouldn't be a Chris Trophy list without Black Flag, right? And yes, Black Flag did a cover song. They did a version of Louie Louie. And it is so good. You've got not Henry Rollins on vocals, but you've got Des Cadena on vocals. He was one of the early vocalists for Black Flag. Des Cadena went on to be in a band called DC3, which also recorded on the SST label too. DC3 was really cool because they kind of mixed like 70s rock into their sound as well. So if you like punk with a 70s rock sound, check out DC3. But Louie Louie, I had to look this up, it was written by Richard Berry back in 1955. And everybody and their grandmother has covered Louie Louie. It's sort of like Smoke on the Water. It's an easy riff to play on the guitar. It gets the crowd going. And I think it was kind of cool for Black Flag to do that because maybe a lot of the punk kids back in the 80s, they might not have known the song Louie Louie. So to play it, at a punk show was pretty cool. But yeah, Black Flag's version of Louie Louie, really, really good stuff.
Great song.
All right, well, my number 7, Aaron will appreciate. I'm going to go with Wasp, Animal, or F Like an Animal, which was an Anne Murray cover song. Anne Murray did that on her Satanic album, but Wasp makes it their own. They really do good. No, okay. So you tell them on my second beer. Okay. I'm going to go with 2000 Man from Kiss. Now, understand, I am a huge Rolling Stones fan. I have over 100 Rolling Stones CDs, and yet Kiss totally blows away the Rolling Stones version of 2000 Man. It's not even a contest. Kiss, for all intents and purposes, wrote the song. I mean, they may as well have. God love Ace Frehley for taking it, putting a riff on it, and he just transforms it into one of my favorite tracks on my favorite Kiss album, and it rocks, it kicks ass, and I totally dig it.
Yeah, you're right. I'll have to listen to the Rolling Stones version again, but I don't think it had much balls to it. It was sort of.
It has no balls at all. It's really a piece of psychedelic fluff. And I mean, I like I say, I like the Rolling Stones, so for me to say that is saying something because there aren't many covers of the Rolling Stones tracks that I like or even acknowledge. And that I wish that's how the Rolling Stones should have covered it and would have covered it maybe 2 years earlier when they were doing Satisfaction and The Last Time and all their cool early 60s stuff. But, thank God for Ace Frehley for, rewriting history and making it an awesome track that it should have been.
Are we just going to go out and say Kiss saved rock and roll?
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for Kiss, there wouldn't be a rock and roll, right?
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
All right, number 6.
Well, I'm the third one to show this. New York Groove. Love it. It's just that right in the beginning of it where it hits you with that just that thumping beat that it has, and then Ace Frehley's vocals and amazing guitar work. Love New York Groove.
Really hold up your Ace Frehley album.
Yeah.
Oh,
Such a
I
killer.
think we need to get Jeff an Ace Frehley album.
Yep.
No, I feel so left out.
That should be the thumbnail for our video.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the first one we've had 3 members having the same song, I think.
Yep.
So it's amazing.
All right.
Was
All right.
Shandy a cover?
No.
Shandy was not a cover. All right, so when I was a kid, there was a song my father absolutely hated. It was by Seals and Croft called Summer Breeze. And a heavy metal band called Typo Negative did a cover. And I said, Dad, I want you to hear this. And my dad was so excited that someone made a doom metal version of Summer Breeze that he was a postal worker. He brought it to the post office, and in the morning they'd sort the mail, and he played it over the PA. And I was like, before he's like, Josh, I want to borrow your CD. I'm like, Dad, don't play the song Christian Woman. You'll be fired. But but yeah, Summer Breeze by Typo Negative is a perfect example of you could take this fluff, kind of happy summer breeze makes you feel fine and turn it into a complete doom metal song. It's fantastic. Go listen to it. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, well, I want them to do a cover of England Dan and John Ford Coley's "It's Sad to Belong to Someone When the Right One Comes Along." Can we get a little yacht rock? Come on, let's have a little love now. All right. I know.
Dude, Christopher Cross rules.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, yeah, sailing.
Sailing
I have Lincoln and John Ford Coley too.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were closet Satanists as well.
I was looking for that record online and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, Christopher Cross has the mark of the devil on the back of his neck.
Exactly. Yeah. The yacht rock satanic classics. Like one
Yeah,
of those
Christopher
detailed
Cross.
compilation
Yeah,
albums.
many people don't know that he was a huge influence on Slayer when they were writing Rain and Blood.
Didn't he
I think
produce that album?
Slayer was on a yacht as they were writing Rain and Blood.
Well, I thought he produced that album, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was a pseudonym though. I think it was Rick Rubin.
Yeah, because he couldn't get out. Yeah, his record label wouldn't have let him. But otherwise, yeah.
Didn't want to foil his image.
I'm sorry, this is the Modelo talking. I'm a lightweight, like I'm a big guy, but like after one beer, I'm like, all right. But
Well, doesn't
Ooh, Wicked Double
have a flamingo on the cover?
Christopher
Both of them.
Cross's second album, yeah.
Yeah,
Both
but
of them
I
did.
mean, doesn't Slayer's Rain and Blood isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Upside down.
Yeah, well, there's a bloody chalice on the right hand side of the album, and the flamingo is behind that.
Oh, okay,
It's behind the bloody chalice.
cool.
All right. So are we up to me now?
Yep.
All right. So number 6, I'm going with Hush by Deep
Nice.
Purple. 1968. This was written by a guy named Joe South for somebody named Billy Joel Royal. And again, I didn't know this. I had to look it up. But I love the song Hush. And Deep Purple just does a great version of it. I don't really listen to a lot of the early Rod Evans Deep Purple stuff, even though I like it. But Hush, I never get tired of listening to it. And I think it was a pretty big hit for Deep Purple.
No, it was their biggest 60s hit, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Before Gillan joined the band.
but they also had Kentucky Woman.
Well, that's the thing I was just going to say. Early Deep Purple with Rod Evans, they do quite a few covers.
Yeah, they
The
do.
Beatles too.
Yeah. So yeah, so definitely some good stuff.
All right, well, my number 6, Josh already stole my thunder. Oh, Lonesome Me, Neil Young. I mean, this is a Neil Young song. I don't care. Neil Young, this can't be a cover. Neil Young just has that vulnerable vocal on here, and just the way his, aches. I've thought of everything from A to Z. I mean, I know you crying right now, just even, but yeah, I don't know. It's like, and I can't do I can't do Neil Young. I can't do Bono. Let's see what other impressions I managed to butcher during the course of this video, but I'm 2 years in. So I'm sure we've still got 5 songs left. So this is what you have to look for. I've lost 10 subscribers, but this is what we have to look forward to. We're halfway through our video, and I've already done 4 horrible impressions. I've danced, whatever. I'm off the rails. But all right, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little carried away, but we are on number 5 now.
So number 5, is it me? I think it is, right?
Yes, it's you.
Number 5 is one of my favorite vocal performances in the history of music. Without You from Neil.
Yes.
Wow.
He totally transformed the Badfinger song and made it totally different, rearranged it, way different. And his vocal performance on this just blows me away every time I hear it. Just chills every time I hear that song.
I think he has the best version. Better than
Yes.
Mariah Carey, too.
Oh, way better. But
Yeah.
his vocals are just amazing on it. It just blows me away. Like I said, I love it.
Well,
And
man,
a metal guy got Nilsson and Family Affair. I don't know what's going on here.
well, no disrespect to Badfinger, but I'm sorry, nobody's going to hold a candle to Harry Nilsson's voice.
No way.
On that cover. And that really was meant for Harry Nilsson. I mean, it was almost like they wrote it for him. But yeah, no, absolutely no question. That's a great one. That's a great album. Richard Petty produced it. Yes, he did the next album. He produced some albums for Ringo, and I forget who else, but he was one of the most renowned, early 70s producers. But he did a great job on that. Harry sings it great, even though he was chain smoking, and a few short years would totally destroy his voice. But that's when he was in great form and never sounded better.
And did you know it was a cover right away, Aaron, or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I've known probably for 20 years it's a cover, but I didn't know back in the. But yeah, I always knew it was a cover.
I always thought he wrote it. I'll be completely honest with you. Yeah. My father, when I had my first real breakup when I was 16, that was one of the songs my father's like, okay, man, I know your heart's broken. Listen to this shit. That's what my father used to do to me, which explains my musical taste.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So my next song was written by Glenn Danzig, but covered by Mr. Johnny Cash. And that's the song 13. It's a
Great
song
song.
about someone that was born without a name. They just gave him a number. They tattooed on his back. And when the ink starts to itch, the black done turn to red. It's just a killer song. Johnny Cash makes it its own. Johnny Cash is so much better than the Glenn Danzig version, even though I do enjoy the Glenn Danzig version. But it just shows the talent of Johnny Cash, and just absolutely amazing. And that's my next song.
That's my favorite of the American Recordings albums.
Oh, it's killer. Every song on this is amazing. Tennessee
Amazing.
Stud,
Yes.
probably my favorite song on this album is Tennessee Stud. It kills. I mean, but the whole album is great.
Delia's Gone, Let the Train
Delia's Gone.
Whistle.
Yep. Not a bad song.
All right. Yeah, oh yeah, my gosh. Yeah. All right. Well, Josh had talked about early Fleetwood Mac. The song I'm going to pick is coming off of this album. And it's the Green Manalishi with the 2-prong crown. And I love Priest's version. Now, I'm going to go back on something that I said. And anybody who watches my channel, I change my mind all the time. There you go. I said in one of our videos that I like Priest's version of Diamonds and Rust better than Joan Baez. I'm going to change my mind. I actually like Joan Baez's version of Diamonds and Rust better. So that's why that didn't make my list. But Green Manalishi, oh my gosh, it's an amazing song. And I like the Fleetwood Mac version too, but the Priest version is just killer. So
It's one of my very
I
favorite.
don't know what the song's about. Why is it a 2-prong crown? Why not a 3-prong crown? I don't know. It's just, I have no idea what the song's about. I just love the riff though.
That is a great album. That Fleetwood Mac album is definitely underrated.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, you know, I'm a Beatles fan, so I got to represent here. Bad Boy off Beatles 6, which was a cover of a Larry Williams tune. Larry Williams also wrote Slow Down. He also wrote Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which the Beatles also covered. Larry Williams committed suicide in the 1970s, but the Beatles were such big Larry Williams fans in the 60s. But this is another track the Beatles made their own. I mean, you could listen to this and think that it's a Beatles original. John sings it great. I don't think after this track he sounded quite the same until Your Blues. Just the way his voice, he shreds the vocal on this, similar to what he did on Twist and Shout. But I think it's a great track. I think it's fun. I love, you know, the no Junior, you know, each, you know, he either screams or he does that, or it's just a fun track to listen to. And it was never on a British album proper. It was on Beatles 6 before anybody in Britain ever heard the track, because they were trying to put together, if you know anything about the Beatles American albums, Capitol assembled this album before the Help album came out, and they needed another song to fill it out and make it an 11-track album. And so they sent the Beatles back into the recording studios exclusively to record Bad Boy. And they were really, you know, under pressure from the record label, and they picked that track, and I think they just kill it. It's a great track, and you know, one of the greatest Beatles covers ever.
nice. I remember my dad had that album. That was one of the few Beatles albums he has. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, that's a good one. That also has, actually, that's got another, Dizzy Miss Lizzy is on this one also, which is another Larry Williams cover.
Nice. We got number 4?
Yes.
Number 4. Hang On St. Christopher, the Tom
Yeah.
Waits song.
Wow.
It's amazing. I love it. The percussion in that is so killer. And they take the Tom Waits song and it sounds a lot like it, only it's heavier. And I love the Tom Waits version as well, but this version on here just has an edge to it, and the percussion is amazing in it. And it's maybe my favorite, second or third favorite song from this whole record. I just love it. And yeah, Hang On St. Christopher, The Smoke and the Oil.
Well, and I love on the cover that Elton John's on that cover too, which is very cool.
Yep, it's a freaky cover, freak show.
Yeah.
That's one of my grails, man. I'll find that one day, I'm sure.
All right.
Or they'll re-release it.
Be my appeal too. Try to find another one.
All right, so my top 4, I could switch at a moment's notice. Like, they're all, to me, all equally number ones. And it's going to, my number 4 is going to be Stardust by Willie Nelson. To me, this is the definitive version. It was originally like, you know, Doris Day covered it for like a movie, but it was originally written by just like a songwriting team that wrote like just some standards, you know, just for anyone to perform. But Willie Nelson takes it and he sings it on the acoustic guitar. And it's just fantastic. I mean, he makes it his own. He's got such a great voice. You know, and for those of you that who have the opportunity to see Willie Nelson, I know he's in his 90s. I got to see him live. Go see him before something tragic happens, right? And we lose him, because he's one of the greatest American artists as far as I'm concerned. And to me, this is one of his best songs, and he didn't even write it. So,
Well, you don't have to like Willie Nelson to enjoy that album. You could be like not interested in anything else that Willie Nelson did, but you put that album on and you will love that album.
yeah. And this is the Analog Productions version. And if you guys ever
Nice.
want to buy an audiophile record, go get this one. It's killer.
Nice.
I'm actually more familiar with that record than maybe any other country record, because it's my mom's favorite. She loves it. So I've heard it ever since I was a kid, that album. So I'm pretty familiar.
Same thing with my parents. It was their favorite. So to me, I play it so much because it just reminds me of being a kid. And Sunday mornings, my dad would play that record, you know. It's a great one.
Cool.
Well, my number 4 is a country song as well, so that was a good segue, Josh. And I don't have something to show for this, but I'm going Alison Krauss, When You Say Nothing at All. It's a beautiful song. Keith Whitley had a pretty big hit with it. It was written by Paul Overstreet and Don Schlitz, who wrote a lot of country songs. But When You Say Nothing at All has got to be one of the most beautiful songs. Alison Krauss, if anybody out there is not familiar with her voice, you've got to listen to her. I mean, she's got an angelic voice. She's a bluegrass artist, but she can sing anything. And you know, she did an album with Robert Plant called Raising Sand, which is amazing. I want them to do another album because it's just great. But I love the song When You Say Nothing at All. It's got to be one of the most beautiful songs.
I saw Alison Krauss and Robert Plant on that tour, and
Yeah.
they did a cover of The Boy Who Couldn't Hoe Corn, which is a song that she covered with Union Station, which that almost made my list. But you're absolutely right, man. That woman's got one of the most amazing voices.
And I think what was good about, and I know this isn't about the Raising Sand album, but what's good about that album is that Robert Plant helped Alison Krauss bring a little bit more aggression out of her voice. And I think Alison Krauss helped Robert Plant sort of tone things down a little bit. And I think they just sort of were able to teach each other. It's such a strange pairing too. Like, let's take the lead singer from Led Zeppelin and put him with Alison Krauss, who's a bluegrass singer, but it works. And yeah, I just love Alison Krauss.
And Chris, on that album, they do a cover of a song that Plant and Page did for that album that came out in the 90s. Please Read the Letter That I Wrote.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
And it's so much better than the Page Plant version. And when that album came out, I'm like, how do I know this song? So I instantly said, well, it's got to be a cover. And I saw that it was written by Page. And I'm like, this is not a Led Zeppelin song. How do I know it? And then I remember they did that album that didn't do too well in the mid 90s, that Page Plant album. But the version from Krauss is just, it's amazing.
And anybody who doesn't like rock, what were you gonna say, Jeff?
I was gonna say, is that the Walking into Clarksdale album?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who doesn't like Robert Plant's voice for whatever reason, you've got to listen to Raising Sand because it'll change your mind. I mean, he can do a lot with his voice. Yeah, I mean, and this is the same guy who sang Black Dog. I mean, it's amazing. So
yeah, but he also sang the Battle of Evermore, and going to
that's true.
Yeah, so and the stuff.
Yeah, so I think Robert Plant always sort of had that, ethereal quality to his voice, sort of like a folky. He could do the folky bluesy thing too. So
yeah. All right, number 4. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a Beatles fan, and there is a soundtrack that came out, I Am Sam, and this is off that the movie soundtrack. Great movie, by the way, with Sean Penn, Dakota Fanning, but nonetheless, the track I'm going to go with, and this is all I have of it. I don't have the artwork. I don't know what happened to it. I used to have the full CD, and I was like looking for this. Like, this is all you've got? Seriously? But anyway, it's a cover of the song Julia. My wife's name is Julia, but it's by a band called Chocolate Genius, which I've never heard of. I have no idea what they've done before this or what they've done since, but they totally reinvent the song Julia, and it is so cool. They put a beat behind it. It's like a mellow, psychedelic, kind of a trippy track. I don't know, Aaron, if you've heard it, but it's so cool. I love it. They definitely reinterpret the track, and I played it at our wedding. Love the hell out of it, and it's worth checking out if you are also a Beatles fan, but you maybe have seen the movie. I don't know where it fell in the movie because I've seen the movie, but I don't remember hearing it in there. But anyway, it's a very cool cover.
So Chocolate Genius is one guy. It's just one man. He had a hit in the album in the 90s called Mom. And it's a song about his mother who got Alzheimer's. And he go visit her, and he's like looking around the house, and he's noticing a hole in the wall that he punched. And he's thinking, but his mother can't remember his name. And it's a heartbreaking song. But yeah, he's one dude. And actually, Springsteen took him out on tour with him as a background guitarist and vocalist when he did the Pete Seeger sessions. So yeah, it's amazing. And my favorite track off that album is The Two of Us, by Michael Penn and his wife there. Her name is escaping me. Amy Mann, which is on that
Yeah,
album.
yeah. From
What is this? Chocolate what?
Chocolate Genius. So everybody, when you're done watching this video, go listen to the song My Mom by Chocolate Genius.
Okay.
It's killer.
Cool.
All right.
Interesting.
All right, we're at number 3.
All right, number 3 from this, Anthrax,
Nice.
their version of TNT. It's the AC/DC song. Excuse me. And they put an extra riff, this extra thing at the end of the song. And every time I hear the song now, I'm waiting for that part to come in, the Anthrax threw in, and it changed the whole song for me, where I can't hear the song without thinking of it. And they do such a great job on it with the singing and everything. And it's just, I can't believe they made a classic like that and added something to it that didn't make it worse, but actually improved on an amazing song. And for that reason, it's my number 3.
Awesome.
Have you ever heard that one, that version?
Yeah.
It's
You know what I'm
killer.
talking about? Riff at the end, he does that extra thing, the extra crunchy riff, the Anthraxian guitar.
Yeah.
Does-
I like
new word.
that term. Anthraxian.
Yep.
So my number 3, I debated back and forth because I tried to pick songs that I liked the covers more than the originals. And this was neck and neck, but I do believe I like the cover more. And it's Nirvana, The Man Who Sold the World, which is originally a David Bowie song, which
Great.
is on the Unplugged.
Great one.
It's just a fantastic version. He really does a great job of making it his own. And the one thing I give Nirvana credit for was Kurt Cobain went out and he did Unplugged and didn't do hardly any of their own songs or any of their own hits. You know, he just went out there and played songs he wanted to play as kind of like a send off. And I remember being a kid and being angry at Kurt Cobain, like, how could you kill yourself? But as an adult, you start to realize that, like, you know, you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes, the demons that they're battling. You can't imagine what he was feeling, you know, at that moment in his life, right? He was addicted to heroin. His wife was a heroin addict. He, you know, was not happy with being famous. So he gave the world this gift of the Unplugged. And I feel like, to me, that's one of the best songs on that album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it.
Do some great Meat Puppet covers on that.
They do. Yeah. It's just
I
a
love
killer album. And I love that he just went out and did what he wanted. You know, Neil Young was quoted before Kurt Cobain. I mean, right after Kurt Cobain died, he kept trying to call him. And they said, well, what were you going to say to him? And he's like, I'm just going to tell these people to go fuck off. Just do whatever you want to do. You know, because Neil Young is that type of person. Neil Young is the type of person that could go play a sold out show of 10,000 people and not play one hit because he doesn't give a fuck. He just does whatever he wants to do. And if everybody had Neil Young's attitude, you know, it'd be a different world. But, you know, Kurt Cobain obviously felt that pressure, but he went out with a bang, so to say, in terms of like just going out and doing what he wanted to do, the concert he wanted to do. He didn't play the hits. Like MTV was pressuring him to do it, but he wouldn't do it.
Well, I almost picked Where Did You Sleep Last Night, which was a Lead Belly cover off that.
Yeah.
Great version of that too.
All right. Well, my number 3, this has been mentioned tonight already, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but 2000 Man. Love it. And wait, so Jeff, you mentioned it, right?
Yeah, that was my number 7.
Okay. So that's my number 3. I love 2000 Man.
Killer.
Great one.
All right. Well, my number 3 is going to be a band that I don't know if any of you guys really are into that much, but I'm a big fan of this band. I am going to go with The Who off their Live at Leeds album, Young Man Blues, which was a cover of a Moe's Allison track. You know, people think of The Who and they forget how heavy The Who was. They could blow any band off the stage when they were at their prime. You know, they're as heavy as any of, you know, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, you know, I mean, they shred on this track. This is one of the best live albums ever recorded. It was released in 1970. And this song in particular is just a blistering blues jam. Pete Townsend is just such an underrated guitarist. You know, what he was able to do within the confines of, I mean, essentially The Who was just only himself, John Entwistle on bass and Keith Moon on drums. So Pete Townsend had to do all the heavy lifting in this band. He had to play rhythm guitar, he had to play lead guitar, and he managed it all so well. They didn't have, other musicians on stage with them when you hear this, but it sounds like they do, because what Pete Townsend does with his guitar is really supernatural. So that is my number 3 pick.
Nice one. And I just got that album a few months ago and listened to it for the first time, and it blew me away. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. It was really good.
Oh yeah, it's super heavy. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic album.
All right, number 2.
Number 2, one of my favorite songs of all time, from Fraley's Comet, Into the Night. Another Russ Ballard song. New York Groove and Into the Night were both Russ Ballard songs. And that's the song where he made his big comeback after being out of Kiss. And it introduced me to a whole nother side of Ace. And I became an Ace fanatic after that song. The video came out, and I was just getting into Kiss really heavy. And then that came out, and I became a Kiss freak. And he's been my favorite guitarist ever since. And so Into the Night.
So where does Russ Ballard fall into the Kiss tree? Like, where the hell did this guy come from?
I don't know. It's Into the Night and New York Groove, 2 of the greatest Ace songs. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Most people don't know Into the Groove is a cover song.
Yeah, and then God gave rock and roll to you as well.
Yep. Killer. And that's a killer album, man. I love that album.
Me
All right.
too.
So my number 2 is a B-side to the Eye of the Beholder single by Metallica. And it's a song called Bread Fan. And it's a song by, I always mispronounce it, but Bungie, is it? Or
Budgie.
I can't remember. Yeah, and it's a killer song. I mean, the original version is fast and heavy and pretty much a thrash metal song. But Metallica, it's actually, believe it or not, if we did a ranking of our top Metallica songs, that would be number 1, and it's a cover. It is by far my favorite Metallica song. It just kicks out. I can't get enough of it. I've listened to it since 1988 when I got that cassette single for Eye of the Beholder. And ever since that day, I've never gotten sick of it. And I could hear it 5 times in a row, and I probably still wouldn't be sick of it.
When I saw him on tour for that album, that was the second song they played.
Incredible. Second song, cover song, and a B-side that wasn't even on the album.
And Budgie is so good too.
Yeah.
Well, my number 2, and maybe people might not know that this is a cover, but I'm going with Hey Joe off of Jimi Hendrix Are You Experience. And it's a public domain song written originally by Chet Powers. It's also credited to Billy Roberts, though. But I mean, Hendrix made it his own. It's a Hendrix song for me. I think other bands have covered. I've heard other bands do Hey Joe, but I think Hendrix version is the best. So yeah, I just love it.
Have you heard the Byrds version?
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, the Hendrix version is great.
Yeah, no, the Byrds version was released a year before that, and it's awful. It's got a totally different tempo. It's almost like they're trying to make I don't know, some kind of R&B riff on it. It's awful, but
Yeah, because listen, when a guy is singing about going to kill his wife, like, I believe Hendrix when he's singing that. Like the Byrds, I don't think the Byrds would go kill their wives. Hendrix would.
Mhm.
Like, this guy means, look at him right there. He means business. You know?
Although David Crosby in the throes of one of his, heroin withdrawals possibly could have. I don't know, but maybe.
Members of the Thompson twins, possibly.
Yeah.
I think David Crosby's crazier now than he was back then.
Yeah, it could be. So who knows? You might read the headline tomorrow and it's prophetic, but
I'm still blown away what Josh just said. Wow. That was a bold statement. The Bread Fan being your favorite Metallica. Holy shit. And that's a cover, dude.
I know. I just absolutely love it. I mean, you love what you love.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, but favorite Metallica song. Wow. All right. Bold.
All right. Well,
Josh is bold.
yeah,
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you taking a stand like that.
Yeah. You didn't pick Frantic from Saint Anger. Huh.
I love
That
Frank.
wouldn't make my top 100. I'm gonna let you know.
I love that song.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Or Whiskey in the Jar.
That's a good cover, actually.
It's a great cover. Whiskey in the Jar is a great cover.
Mhm.
Metallica did good covers. Even Turn the Page to me. I know it's not nearly as good as Bob Seger, but it's still an enjoyable cover.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is going to be baby, baby, I'm not gonna leave you. I ain't joking, woman. I got to.
Rambo.
We should just do a video when we're all singing.
I know.
I love
Our top 10 impersonations of bands.
This
We
is
find
great.
out
This
that
is my
Aaron's
impersonation
first
of Great
song,
White
amazing
singing.
operatic voice.
You
Yeah.
might some of my singing here, Chris, coming up in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah, I can't lose any more
We-
subscribers, so
CD.
I'm not sure how good an idea that is. But
Well, I lost about 50 today when I said Motley Crue's version of Helter Skelter was better than the Beatles. So
maybe not. I don't know.
whatever.
Yeah.
You probably gained 50 because all the crew fans now got your back.
Oh,
They
there
don't
you
want to
go.
make you. They're gonna ask you to make ranking videos every 5 minutes.
And you know what I'm thinking? We should probably, because nobody's watching the video right now. we should do our number 1 first.
We could do that.
YouTube says people only watch a video for what, like 3 minutes at the most?
They can fast forward to the number 1.
But people
Yeah,
are
that's
dying to know. People might be dying to know what's your number 1. You know, if you give the number 1, where's the drama? Where's the suspense keeping people?
Or maybe we'll say if you watch the whole video all the way through, you could win a $100 Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know that I'm doing this video purely for my own enjoyment and hanging with you three. I don't care if anybody watches.
Yeah, no, this is.
Exactly.
I mean, this is all this is just for us. I mean, we're just.
Yeah.
This is just an excuse for us to show CDs and vinyl
Exactly. And
when I get to my
and act like we're all cool by pulling out Hendrix "Are You Experienced?" Yeah, Hey Joe, and you know what? I'm gonna pick a really random cover like nobody knows, but hey, it's fun, you know, right?
So, babe, I'm gonna leave you. It's a Joan Baez cover, and you know, God damn it!
Did Joan Baez write that song?
Yeah, Joan Baez. It's a
I
cover
didn't know
of
that.
Joan Baez song, which you'd never know. But it's definitely, you know, it's funny because it starts off so soft. You got that gentle guitar picking, though, you know, that arpeggio, and you think, oh, it's a ballad, it's a soft ballad, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, the chorus comes in, and you've got them all just totally you know, kicking ass on the chorus, and then it softens again, and then, you know, it's like that light and heavy, like so many of our favorite bands do so well, where it starts off soft, and then, you know, like the you know, Deep Purple does it well, Black Sabbath has done it well, so many bands just really, you know, it's like, oh shit, I got to turn the volume down, I didn't realize it was going to get so heavy, you know, at a certain point. But yeah, I've always loved that one. Love Zeppelin, love their first album. There's a couple covers on here. You Shook Me is one of them, How Many More Times, but you know, that's my favorite cover on that album.
you know, Joan Baez once stole a song from Bob Dylan, like stole it off his desk, and she went and recorded it, didn't tell him. And years later, Bob Dylan's like, you know what song I love that you did? And she's like, oh, which one, Bob? And he's like, this one. He's like, well, you should. I stole it from you. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, it was on your desk and I took it and I went and recorded it, never told you. And I don't think they revealed what song it is, but I always wonder, like, oh my God, what song could possibly be the Bob Dylan song that she stole?
Yeah, well, he was writing so many, I'm sure he didn't miss any of them. You know, he was like
Exactly.
60s.
I don't think
yeah.
Dylan cared either because they were sleeping together. So
Yeah.
that's what, you know, that was payment.
Yeah, well, I think they were in the early 60s. If you've seen his album or his film, Don't Look Back. It's kind of the end of their relationship, and he's totally like treating her like dirt, and not even paying attention to her. And you get to kind of see how she used to be like somebody he looked up to, and then in that movie, it's like 1965, and he's ascending. His star is totally on the rise, and nobody gives a crap about Joan Baez anymore, and he moved on to more attractive women.
Well, I think Diamonds and Rust is about Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
I never knew, and you blew my mind. I didn't realize Joan Baez wrote "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You." Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And that was one of the things when Robert Plant and Jimmy Page met, they used to go through each other's record collections. And that was one of the few albums that they had in common was, oh my God, you love Joan Baez? Yes, I've always loved this song. And yeah. Our number one, Aaron.
Okay. I have a four-way tie. I couldn't do this without doing something like this. It's all by the same band, though. And I really think they're the kings of the cover songs, because every song that they covered was better than the original. And that's really hard to do. And nobody has them on their list, which really surprised me.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes?
What's that?
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes? No? You never heard of it?
I've heard that.
Huh?
Yeah, they do covers. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. That's what
I don't know who that is. Okay. Well, it's Van Halen.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I almost put Pretty Woman on mine.
Pretty Woman, but it has to have the Intruder intro. That intro is so killer to Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Also, Where Have the Good Times Gone from this record?
It's a great
Those
song.
two. You're No Good from this record. The amazing song, my favorite version of it. And of course, you got to have the song.
Yeah.
What's it called?
You Really Got Me?
You Really Got Me.
You
Yeah.
got me.
Four. Those are the four best covers, and I couldn't pick one of them because they're just all so great, and I just love every one of them for different reasons. And but if I was going to choose one, it might be Where Have All the Good Times Gone, the Kinks song from this. I just love how they do it. Such a great
On the
underrated
Street.
song. Huh?
Not Dancing in the Street?
That is probably I really like that because the guitar work in it is so great. But I think that's the weakest of all their cover songs they did. And they only did cover songs on these three records. And they were all David Lee Roth records. And three of the David Lee Roth records, they didn't do cover songs, except they might have on Women and Children First did a little, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you got Happy Trails, Big Bad Bill.
That's on this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dancing
So,
in the Street, Pretty Woman, and
Big Bad Bill.
yeah, Where Have All the Good
So,
Times Gone?
yeah. But those four songs specifically, I just think are masterpieces and are all add to the original
Mm-hmm.
to me. And I was gonna have this loaded with Van Halen songs, but I just said, well, they're kind of all tied for me, and I'll just put that as my number one, just because they're so great at their cover songs. And that's why that's why me. I just do things a little different sometimes.
Well, and there's Apolitical Blues, which was a Little Feat cover off of OU 812.
Is it?
I didn't know that was a Little Feat cover.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it was off Sailing Shoes.
I like Little
Is
Feat.
that on the album? I don't remember that song.
It's on the CD. I don't know if it's on the.
I think it's the bonus track.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and you
And
guys
Melody- One on there, maybe.
see, here's the thing. Like, I see through what Aaron's doing, right? You guys, do you see what he's doing? His list is now 19.
Yeah.
And are we just gonna let this go? Like,
Yes.
it just
It's 18.
Well, it was 124. I mean, it was
like
124 when we started the video. So I figure it sneaks in 3 somewhere.
okay, you know what? I'm gonna do that next time. I'm gonna have a 1A, a 1B, a 1C, and a 1D.
Well,
But see,
Aaron,
that's on brand for Aaron. It's off brand for you. Aaron up that he's gonna sneak in,
Yeah.
10 more.
All right, well, we'll let it go, Aaron.
Sorry
Aaron,
about that.
I totally get what you're saying though, because Eddie Van Halen's guitar is so distinct and so uniquely him that no matter what they cover, it's uniquely theirs. And yeah, and I wanted to put some Van Halen on here. I just didn't have enough room. But it's probably because I love the Van Halen original so much more than their covers. But you're right. You really got me. It's a Stone Cold classic. All right, so my number one is going to piss off a lot of people because the original is considered to be one of the greatest songs of all time. But I really feel the cover is better. So the original was written by Led Zeppelin, and it was "Stairway to Heaven," and it's the cover by the band Heart, which they did for the Kennedy Honors. And Heart just completely kills this song. It's got John Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, on drums. They have like an orchestra in the background. When Led Zeppelin got the Kennedy Honors, and they're in the audience watching Heart do this, and it brought Robert Plant to tears watching this performance. And it's just amazing. If I watch it, it gives me goosebumps. And to me, it is the absolute greatest cover of all time. Like for a band, even though they stuck to the original song, her voice is just so powerful, and it's just amazing. You just go watch that performance. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you're right. I remember seeing Robert Plant crying during that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's super, super powerful. And I really think that like it's, and I'd grown so tired of that song because it was played at every school dance, everything when I was a kid. That was like the biggest song of all time. And Heart just totally killed it. They just took a song that it was kind of overplayed and just reminded the world of how great the song really was.
All right.
Truthfully, Robert Plant did say later it was his thyroid medication that made him cry. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, my number one, I got to go with Johnny, and I'm going with the song "Hurt." It's just an amazing cover. It should be a Johnny Cash song. The video for this, they have some old footage of them because Johnny used to have a place called the House of Cash where it was basically like a gift shop. And in this video, it's like filming like how this place is like crumbling down and there's all old memorabilia. And then June Carter is like on the stairs looking at Johnny, and it's just, you could just tell like Johnny realizes he's at the end of his life, and June Carter realizes it. And, you just feel for this guy because the industry sort of gave up on Johnny Cash until Rick Rubin brought him back. But the song "Hurt," I mean, it's about Johnny Cash, and he does an amazing version. And that song helped to sell a crap load of copies of this album, even though this is not my favorite American Recordings album. The one that Josh showed is mine, but the song "Hurt" has got to be like a number one for me. So
is that the album that has Personal Jesus on it?
No, he does Desperado on here.
Hold on.
But
does he do Rusty Cage?
No, Rusty Cage is on the second album with
this one.
Yeah, that's
and
another.
This is actually Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers play all the background instruments on this. So, and Tom Petty plays bass. So this essentially is a Tom Petty album. And they actually do a Tom Petty cover of Southern Accents.
Which I like better. I should have put that on my list because I like it better than the Tom Petty.
This one, they do a cover of Neil Diamond's "Solitary Man," which is absolutely amazing. And then this one is the one that's got "Hurt." But they all have great covers.
You're killing me, Josh. I need all those, brother.
Yes.
Which American recording album has Arthur's theme, "The Best That You Can Do"?
Yeah, and I was really annoyed at Josh the other day because he has Johnny Cash Unearthed on vinyl. Yep. I have Unearthed on CD, but I need to get the vinyl version. That's an amazing album. He does Pocahontas by Neil Young on there. But on this album, check out the song, this is not a cover, but "The Man Comes Around." It's an original written by Johnny. Really, really good. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. I think we need to do a video on Johnny Cash.
That'd be rad. I would love it.
I know nothing.
Well,
you can just chill and talk about Sweet FA.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sweet FA didn't do any covers?
One, but it's only on Temptation CD. It's a Randy Newman song. What's the name of it? Oh God.
Take on Me.
Mama told me not to come.
Mama told me not to come.
That's it.
Did
That's the only,
did Clutch do any covers?
yes, but they're not on any of the records I have. They're on these new ones called Weathermaker Vault series. They did God, now I can't, they do a version of Cross-Eyed Mary, which is never on an album, which is really cool. What's that Creedence song? I always
Fortunate
forget.
Son.
Fortunate Son. They've done a few of them, but just like live stuff.
Now I wish I put Iron Maiden's version of Cross-Eyed Mary. That's the killer version of that.
Yeah, it's really good. I was thinking about it, and I have the record. It's only on the picture disc of Peace of Mind. Yeah, I've got that, but it's on the wall, and I didn't want to take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
All right. Well, my number one should be familiar to most of you. I know Josh has already been on board, but I've been trying to sell you guys on this one for a while. I'm going to go with Hallelujah from Jeff Buckley, his Leonard Cohen cover. I think it's just gorgeous. The first time I had actually heard this song was when Rufus Wainwright did a cover of it for the Shrek soundtrack, as I think most people did, which actually was recorded after this version. But I just love from the opening guitar intro, which is so haunting. He pulls out the melody that you never realized that was there in the opening guitar chords that he plays, and then he goes into the track, and it's just so haunting. It's just him and his guitar and his voice, and you can hear the echo in the studio. It's such an intimate performance of this song, and for me it is my all-time favorite cover track of all time.
Dude, it's such
Great
a
song.
fantastic song, and the lyrics are slightly different than Leonard Cohen. If you go listen to Leonard Cohen version, but it's a fantastic song.
Should
Yeah,
I pull
have
out
you guys
my
heard it?
album too?
Yeah, Aaron, did you hear the version that I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's killer. I've just listened
Yeah.
to the first day of this album. It's really good. I
Yeah.
really did get to it a few times. So there you go.
This is not my favorite solo album. I've gone on record saying that Peter Criss is my favorite solo record.
I'm surprised you didn't put a song from that on there.
And I lost another 100 subscribers with that one. Yeah, you're right. See, that's the thing. Our list could be like 50 to 100.
I know. Yeah,
I almost
for sure.
put, there's a Joan Baez song called February, which, oh my God, that song tears me up. I'm trying to remember who it's a cover of, but ooh.
I think
All
that
right.
we should always bring Wasp and Danzig into the conversation.
Good
Yeah.
idea.
No matter what list we're doing. Top 10 Beatles, I'm going to go with Wasp.
Wasp, I love Wasp's version of Julia.
It's a rare B-side.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do a cool version of Ride Like the Wind also.
Yeah.
They do a version of Painted Black actually, which is pretty cool.
Well, see,
And
we're knocking Christopher Cross, but I like Christopher Cross.
I do too.
I think he's really good. And I'm not kidding either. He's really good.
Well, did Wasp do a Diamond Girl?
What?
Did Wasp do a version of Diamond Girl? We can tee up Seals and Croft all day. But yeah, they're not off limits. So the England Dan and John Ford Coley, we can tee up on, and Seals and Croft, but we'll lay off Christopher Cross.
Now, have you guys ever heard Richard Cheese before?
No.
You have to check out Richard Cheese. He does lounge versions of songs. He does like lounge versions of rap songs, hip hop songs, all different songs. So after this video, Google Richard Cheese. He's hilarious. And this guy is talented. Like I said, he does lounge piano versions of heavy metal songs and hip hop songs and everything. So
Why am I picturing Will Ferrell in my head? I don't know.
you are gonna love. He does a version of Rain and Blood. He does Girls. Like he's hilarious. I should have put one of his songs on here. But can we?
You guys, you ever hear the Tori Amos cover album, Strange Little Girls?
Yeah,
She
she
does
does
Slayer.
Slayer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does a Slayer cover, but she does, I'm trying to remember who sings the original song, but Not in Love. You're not in love. I can't think of who sings the original, but she does
10cc.
yeah, it's so good. And she does Enjoy the Silence, the Depeche Mode song. And I think that her
Alright.
version is because just her and a piano, just playing it very slow, and
Cool.
it's fantastic. So yeah, that album, if it ever gets released on vinyl, I would scoop it up in a second.
And I know you guys looked at me like I had three heads before when I said Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, but check them out. They do punk covers. Really, really good stuff.
I think that was us looking at Josh like he had three heads after he said his favorite Metallica song was that B-side. So
Red
Yeah,
Fan.
that's gonna haunt me. I'm gonna wake up at like,
Red Fan, open up.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
it's
love
gonna be
it.
3 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna be like, wait a second, did Josh say Red Fan was his number one Metallica song?
woo. Okay.
Red Fan, looking to
Yeah. That sounds like a
Great song.
Soundgarden song. That sounds like a Soundgarden track. Bread fan. I don't
Yeah.
I have no idea what the song's about. Is he a fan of bread? I don't know.
Yeah.
Red is
Money.
they're an underrated band too.
Spoon Man. That's it. Not Bread Man. Bread.
Spoon Man.
Okay.
It's about greed. Money
Yeah.
and greed.
The bread.
Red.
I mean, not that anybody's still watching at this point. For those of you who fell asleep and woke up and your TV's still on and we're still here entertaining you, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check out JC Flipside Vinyl, Chris Profi, Musically Obsessed, and Aaron Mutha Alamere. We will be back next week with another exciting list of songs. And until then, make sure you check out all these albums. Definitely.
We are music geeks. We are.
Yeah, we're gonna geek out next week also.
There's a connection.
All right, thank you guys.